Welcome back to the Quiet on Set podcast. I'm Young Gruff, and as always, I'm joined by Lachlan Teely.
On episode 211, Star Wars is dead. Well, dead in at least 2026, which is the only news item we've got this week, right, Ewan? Right?
Well, yes, there's also some Oscar news and about like 50 to 60 other news items, but it's only Star Wars, yes. That's all we care about. Then I sat through Red One. We shared that pain, Lachlan. We'll talk about that a bit. I also caught the part 2 of season 6 of Cobra Kai. Watched Spellbound, Your Monster, Small Things Like These. A surprising, crazy horror flick from France that didn't cut a single time called Mats, and I watched Clint Eastwood's Mystic River, and Lachlan went out to the theaters to go see Wicked on the big screen, and yeah, did you like it? Did you not like it? He hasn't told me yet, so we'll find out together.
It's a mystery for everybody because on this week, our main topic is not going to be Wicked because Ewan hasn't been able to see it just yet, but I will enjoy this glory because this is a very rare instance where I get to see a movie before Ewan. But This week on the main review, we've decided to do a triple threat, a triple feature. This week we're going to be talking about Orion and the Dark, Hundreds of Beavers, and Madam Web, which I am so keen to quickly talk about, which is back to back. So let's go. It's a big week. Let's kill it. So there's so much to talk about. So let's forget about doing this intro. Let's just jump straight into it.
Let's do that. Although I do have to say, you had that week ahead of me with Red One as well. I feel like you're happy about seeing Wicked.
I'm enjoying this. Yeah, dude, 100%.
You're riding high, but let's keep up the intro and get into it. We are professionals.
This is a professional podcast.
Yes. Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Hello there. Which actually,
did you
this
get
is
me a
gonna
hat
be
as well?
Yes.
So I've got Dooncam. It's just a camera with my Dune steelbook.
All right, welcome back, Lachlan. You're in a different setup.
Hello.
Care to tell us?
I am. I am house sitting. So I am concerned because this house is quite echoey as they only moved in a few months ago. So it's not like furnished to like its teeth with furniture and stuff. Quite a comfortable couch and quite a good TV. Don't mind if I just say that. So I'm watching things in style in a very comfortable bed. I'm quite happy. But I'm currently house sitting. So if the audio is echoey, I do apologize. And if you do hear a bark, that's Upper, the dog. And he is such a good boy. He's currently eating at the moment. I can hear him eating. But I'm not going to let him get distracted because he will bark if he hears the faintest of things. And we are now on good terms. We've only met each other recently, and now we are best friends. We snuggled together in bed last night. It was so good.
Cute.
Yeah. We won't say who was the snuggler and the snuggly because that will
We know. We know.
yeah, put me down a little bit. But yeah, that's kind of, and it's going to be like this next week as well. Because yes, they get back on the Saturday. Yes, very good. I'll be here as well next week. And yes, you get 2 weeks of handheld microphone Lachlan and lighting that's not fabulous on my face.
We also get 2 weeks of Wicked, right? With your review this week, brief thoughts, and then
We do.
next week we'll do spoilers. And it just opens up the possibility for you to like grab the camera, dance around and burst into song while you hold that mic. So that's like what I'm expecting that will happen.
Yes,
right?
I will get Upper to hold the camera. That would be brilliant.
A duet, yeah. I'll be popular. Another shout out to our Discord that we're being more active in, and then you could join as well. Link below, one of the first links there. You can come join us. Lachlan got a bunch of posts in there, and a bunch of the stuff that we'll talk about here, like some of the lists we mentioned, will be obviously linked in the description, but you'll also find them even before we talk about them on the podcast on the Discord. So yeah, there's another reason for you to get that early scoop from joining a Discord.
It's in the description.
Do
join.
it.
There's a little link button. Join. Do it.
Exactly. And we're really close as well. By the way, we can get at the top of the show as well. We're really close to 500 subs. So I don't know. I probably haven't crossed it yet by the time this episode comes out. But if you're considering subscribing, do it.
So close. It's like 30 away.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's like we did talk about this ages ago, or like the first 100 was like, it took like what,
Oh, yeah,
3
it's always
years
like that,
to get
and then it
to
snowballs.
100. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh wait, cool. Now we're at 476 or 475, whatever it is now. And we're like,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah.
that was like, it's like less than a year or so since we hit 100, and then it's just almost 500, and then closer to 1,000. It's weird how this works.
Yeah. I mean, by the time the next Star Wars movie comes out, we have that.
By the way, if you're
we'll have
watching this
crossed
and you're
Mr.
not
Beast.
subscribed, can you just subscribe? That's all we're
Yeah.
asking at this stage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We look at
but yeah.
analytics. We actually look at analytics, so we know that people are just not subscribed and watching.
Oh yeah, I think it's like at one point it was like 97% were watching but not subscribed. I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And
Right.
a lot of people were returning but not. That just speaks for a good YouTube algorithm.
And those
to keep
returning.
watching.
Hello. What do you think of my new background?
Yeah,
It's just
not
the
like
green
first
screen.
time, you
Ready?
know? Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. It's not the green screen. Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
Imagine.
I'm just
No,
kidding.
you're on
It's just
holiday and it's
echoey
just
for
like
no reason.
it's like the fucking it keeps like.
So I'm
green
thinking about
screen
buying a
behind another
collapsible green screen so that if I do go traveling and I need to do the podcast remotely, I can still do the green screen meme. But
It
it's a
looks
little
like
bit
he's
extra
home.
work. You should see the amount
Yeah.
of cables that I forgot to get a USB C to A cable, which is why it took me so long because I was trying to hunt one down. And an extension cord because there is no PowerPoint that's close to here, so I had to figure out how to get there. So I'm using a 3-meter USB-C cord to my charger for my laptop, plus a probably like good 1.5-meter extension cable to a power board, which is not very safe. Don't do that.
Yeah, Lachlan, let's talk about some news because we do have a lot
Yes,
to talk about
yes.
this week, and it's brought to you by our lovely producer. At this point, I feel like he's also a film critic and a festival goer with us to cover those festivals. He is now curating these news items for us, and I blame him that for that reason we have so much more to talk about because he finds the stuff that I like even missed throughout the week. But Lachlan, let's jump into quick news. First up, Conan O'Brien will host the Oscars. The 97th Academy Awards will happen on Sunday, March 2nd, 2025.
The list for eligible films in the animation, international, and documentary feature categories for the Academy Awards were announced.
Legendary Entertainment and Sony Pictures are ending their distribution deal in late 2022. Sony agreed to be in charge of Legendary's international release, excluding Dune and Godzilla, which is basically all they had. So they ended up just publishing The Machine and The Book of Clarence, which both didn't do so well internationally at the box office. So that deal is ending.
September 5 and Better Man shift their release dates to better fit the award season. We already had September 5 noted down to be in limited release this week, but they moved it literally last minute.
The Substance director Karlin Farja pulls a film from the Polish Camera Image Film Festival after highly misogynistic and offensive comments were made from the fest's CEO. The festival also had the premiere for Rust, the indie western where Alec Baldwin tragically shot cinematographer Helena Hutchins.
Disney has taken Star Wars off the 2026 calendar release schedule and replaced it with Ice Age 6.
Well, Viola Davis will receive the Cecil B. DeMille Award at the Golden Globes.
Kevin Costner has spoken on the future of his ambitious 4-part Horizon the American Saga film series. Quote, should I do it? I will figure it. No, I won't do it. I will figure out a way. Quote, I'm hoping, I'm dreaming, I'm meeting all the billionaires that we all hear about. They're all hiding in the shadows. The Horizon director, star, and co-writer said to laughter from the audience near the end of a panel discussion with a trio of collaborators on the movie.
And Kevin and I, at this stage, really hope that third and fourth part comes to fruition. We really enjoyed the part 2. We got a review up if you are interested in that. Then Sebastian Stan was denied to be on Actors and Actors for Variety because they couldn't find anyone to pair him up with to talk about his role in The Apprentice as a young Trump. Yeah, just a bit baffling.
James Bond, the next actor will be in his 30s and whiteness is not a given. In an interview, 007 producer Barbara Broccoli says actor who takes on the role will offer something new and different.
Then Steve McQueen reveals he paused Blitz production filming for his prostate cancer treatment. The film director has since fully recovered and backs campaign to address disproportionate impact of that disease on black men. Blitz is now streaming on Apple TV+.
Nicole Kidman says that she wants to work with Martin Scorsese if he does a film with women. Kidman is not the first female actor to have criticized the director, whose potential next projects have included biopics of both Sinatra and Jesus for his next choice of subject matter.
Then we got a couple of new projects that were announced. A Wright Brothers biopic called Flyer is in the works from Wonder Project. John Gunn, who directed Ordinary Angels starring Hilary Swank, will direct.
David Spade and Theo Von will write and star in the self-financed buddy comedy called Busboys.
Luca Guadagnino's next film will be with DC Studios, starring Daniel Craig as Sergeant Rock, a character that first appeared in 1959 in a World War II setting. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bruce Willis were previously reported to be involved in films centering on the character, but they never came about.
A Boys to Men biopic movie is in the works.
Zack Snyder is directing and co-writing an LAPD action thriller for Netflix. Emily Blunt and Coleman Domingo are among those already cast in the Universal production.
A Fleetwood Mac documentary from Frank Marshall is in the works over at Apple.
The Pope's Exorcist director Julius Avery Board's alien abduction thriller They Found Us. Neil Blomkamp was originally tapped to direct the sci-fi actioner, which is currently recasting for a planned shoot in Australia, start shooting in 2025.
Godzilla -1 directors Takashi Yamazaki's next project, Grand Gear, lands at Sony with Bad Robot producing.
Kevin Smith says Dogma 2 is in the works with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon potentially returning.
Al Parker is directing Jennifer Lawrence and Brett Goldstein's in rom-com office romance for Netflix.
Jesse Eisenberg sets a Real Pain follow-up as a musical comedy to star Julianne Moore and Paul Giamatti.
Bill Burr and Skydance Sports are teaming up for a movie, Born Losers.
Lionsgate Board's adult comedy Racher from Imagine Entertainment, John Caston, is set to direct.
Now it's time for some casting news. Anne Hathaway is set to star in Colleen Hoover's thriller Verity from Amazon MGM. Michael Showalter will direct, who also worked with her and Amazon on The Idea of You.
Robert Pattinson is the latest to join Christopher Nolan's next film that also stars Matt Damon, Tom Holland, Anne Hathaway, Lupita Nyong'o, and Zendaya. The film will release on July 17, 2026.
Richard E. Grant, Emily Mortimer join Sacha Baron Cohen in Netflix's rom-com Ladies First.
Josh O'Connor joins Steven Spielberg's new sci-fi movie.
Jason Segel and Samara Weaving, Timothy Oliphant, Juliette Lewis are set to star in a thriller called The Trip.
Emma Mackey is set to star opposite Glenn Powell and Jenna Ortega in J.J. Abrams' mystery movie for Warner Brothers.
Rennie Harlan takes on directing duties for action film The Beast, starring Samuel L. Jackson, Joel Kinnaman, Guy Burnett. Filming is underway in Spain.
David Dastmalchian, Ashley Greene, and Samantha Cochran are to top-line horror thriller The Cure.
Angelina Jolie is set to star in Paris high fashion movie Stitches.
Viking Valhalla's Sam Corlitz is the latest to join Kevin Costner's surf thriller Headhunters.
Hong Chow, Alison Oliver, and Shazad Latif join Emerald Fennell's Wuthering Heights at Warner Bros.
And I'm feeling the Wuthering Heights as we finish up quick news this week. Again, as always, a lot to talk about. Let us know what you think of them. And now it's time for us to maybe discuss what we thought of them. First up, one of the first things we talked about were those eligible lists for the categories of animation, documentary, and international. And if you're interested, we'll have a link below that on our HQ account for Quiet on Set, which you can also follow, by the way. We post lists where you get an overview of every movie that we end up talking about in trailers, in news, in what we've been watching, all of that overview there. I made some lists, and it took a while because for documentary, I think there's like 170 movies.
164 movies, and I guess how many I've seen this year?
It took a minute. Oh yeah, exactly. That's the first thing you wanted. You have seen zero of the documentaries. For me, it's 16, so it's like, you know, it's not like I'm that far ahead, but we usually don't really cover that many documentaries, especially as like a main review. It kind of never happens.
I do have a couple of them on my watch list, though. I actually do have a couple of them.
Yep.
Like movies that I want to catch up on. Like Daughters on Netflix is one that I just saw that I definitely know. There was the Am I a Racist one that I heard is like really like good or really funny. I heard it was really funny. Like stupidly funny. Just I like stupid stuff. And then Black Box Diaries, you absolutely went on about that for almost like seven years. You love that movie a lot. There's a lot in here that I really want to catch up on, and some that I haven't heard of. Oh, the Jim Henson one's on here as well. Yeah, there's a ton of it.
It feels like I paid a bit more attention to documentaries this year because even though No Other Land is, I don't think, on here, which would be like one of my big three, I think Daughters, Black Box Diaries, and No Other Land have been the highlights so far. And I think there's a couple of them that I could really see make the shortlist and then get nominated. And there's a ton of them that I have no confidence that they like even have a shot of making it. But yeah, a couple in here that even I still want to catch. One, The Homie, that won something at the Berlinale really early in the year. There's one on Frida, but there's also quite popular ones like The Greatest Night of Pop, right, where you basically the creation behind
also on the watch list.
Yeah. Oh no, No Other Land is actually on the list. I stand corrected. Piece by Piece, for example, is also on here, which is interesting because, you know, it's like you don't associate that with the typical presentation of documentaries.
There's a ton of animated ones that I want to catch up on or have not come out yet. For example, the Lord of the Rings animated one that's coming out in like 2 to 3 weeks. I can't wait to see that. Moana 2 comes out next week here at least. Wallace and Gromit, I'm so keen to see that. Mars Express, what is this? This is something that I would be keen to see. This like in 2200 Private Detective.
It premiered at Gun last year. I didn't catch it there, unfortunately, and then it had it's out on digital, so you should be able to see it somehow. It came out in
Fantastic.
July.
Added
but
to
I haven't
my watch list.
been able to catch up on it. I've seen 15. I've seen a bit more of the eligible like animation. I'll try and see as many as I can of this. I know that with Ghost Card Anzu, there was a lot of talk behind that, and I was lucky enough to catch a couple of them at the Annecy Film Festival. That's like an animation film festival. So like I caught The Glass Worker, which I think is also the Oscar submission for Pakistan. And there's a couple of good ones in here. We have a review up on the channel for Look Back as well. Really, really good short film, 58 minutes. And yeah, a couple, like you said, that haven't released. I just watched this morning Spellbound, and I don't think that deserves to even be on here. It's not very good. Wallace and Gromit, right? Vengeance Most Fowl. Looking forward to that one too. For international, of course, there's a bunch. What is interesting is that there were about 3 of them that got cut out, that didn't make it in here. Like, for example, the Chinese submission was rejected. You want to say how many of those you've seen? Is that what you held up?
One.
Okay. Which one do you know?
I've seen Cloud.
Oh, yeah, fair.
But again, I have a ton of these on my watch list. The Devil's Bath, Julie Keeps Quiet, got I'm Still Here on here. I've got The Girl with the Needle. That's a Mubi release, I believe. So I think eventually, once that's come out, it will be on Mubi, similar to The Substance was like that as well. Emila Perez, whatever that one is.
Yeah, that one's out on the American
Cedar Sacred
Netflix.
Fig. Yeah. There's the Twilight of the Warriors, Walled In. That one I've got on my watch list. Actually, I think I might watch it tonight because I have heard a lot of really cool things about it. There's a ton of the international stuff that I just haven't been able to access here yet. But yeah, there's a ton of it is on my watch list. So even though I've seen one, I am keen to see a bunch of these.
Yeah, and like sometimes it's also, you're going by the submission that the country has made, even if it's not the best one. And it just kind of is what it is. So we'll try and, if we can, because there are like 90 movies on here to kind of see like what's worth checking out. But I think most of them that actually have a shot of making it in, or are likely to make it in, they already are out in one way or another. The only notable one that where that's not the case, I think, is Girl with the Needle, and maybe I'm Still Here in some places. But Emilia Perez is out. That's very likely to get nominated. And then Seed of the Sacred Fig. I don't think that Kneecap could make it in. I would be surprised. Cloud is very niche, but Flow is another one that could very likely make it in. I've already seen Twilight of the Warriors Walled In. Got to see that luckily enough in a theater, and it's a great experience. It's a great action film. But yeah, this year, like every year, there's some worthy international titles to put onto your radar. And you've already been on top of it if they're all on your watch list. But
Whilst international and documentary have never been my strongest suits, don't you worry. I reckon I'm going to be able to see all the best picture movies this year.
Yeah, that would be sweet. We'll definitely try to do that. I mean, we do have a long time until like the final, until the awards. That's like start of March, 2nd of March. And I think we'll have a head start on it to basically be done with most of them by the time they get announced. Then we, the discussion around Scorsese's next movie, and there was also some news that we didn't include because it was just rumors about like another film that he's reportedly shooting next year that I think is neither the Jesus biopic or the Sinatra one. I don't know what's going on. Scorsese is entering his Fincher era where he's just sorry, not his Fincher era, his Ridley Scott era, where it's just like, I'm doing everything as long as I can. Or like I guess Clint Eastwood as well, just like pumping up movies as much as he can. But the criticism of not centering his films around women does come up quite a bit. Something with Killers of the Flower Moon, with Lily Gladstone taking a bit of a backseat for a story that was about her people, right? And then centering it and making it into a crime film. Or like the thing in The Irishman with Anna Paquin, where she basically had like a non-speaking role, stuff like that. I think more often than not, it does come off a bit silly that you're asking someone to like make a bigger part when the story that he writes maybe isn't I don't know, working in the way for that. It feels a bit forced if you just saying we just want it for representation's sake. But it would be sick if he has like a great story that he centers around a female character, and someone like Nicole Kidman could take that part then. But I don't know. I also don't feel like there's a need for someone who's seen as a great director to hit every mark. He can very much work in whatever he's good at, and maybe he's just not as good. That's not where one of his strengths lie, to tell a story from a woman. I'd much rather have someone who's lived that experience to then elevate that. And it's always the criticism as well of like, you're saying it would be great to work with these directors who give me a role, but then when you do have stories that are told from maybe lesser known directors who could tell other stories, you end up not taking them. You go with the more popular one. That's like the counter argument to this. It's layered. It's deep, Lachlan. But do you care at all? I just want more movies from Scorsese. I just want him to like do as many as he has left in him.
Yeah, I totally see. Like, I completely get where she's coming from, and I look at his filmography and I go, yep. I don't see not like a poorly written female character, which I have to admit, there are definitely filmmakers out there who have poorly written female characters, but I just don't see a main female character in a Scorsese movie, and I don't see why he couldn't do it. I just think that he likes to pick projects that are maybe a little bit more closer to him. Like, obviously he wants to do another Jesus biopic. He did The Last Temptation of Christ, right? And he wants to do another Jesus one because that's a big part of his life, right? And I'm not going to say the same thing about Wolf of Wall Street, because that's not a big part of his life, doing a bunch of cocaine and selling on the stock market. But that particular character was a biopic. He was interested in the character. He was interested in gangster storytelling, and in each of those were mainly male mobsters. I don't think he needs to make a strong female character for the sake of just doing it, because I feel like just writing one for the sake of doing it is probably not the way you should go about it. I just think
Yeah.
that he probably hasn't come across a character that he's either because writing it himself, or coming across one that he really wants to make a movie about. So, and obviously, Leonardo DiCaprio can't really play a woman, and obviously that's like his main go-to in any of it. And it's the same with De Niro.
limitations,
Like, I don't think De Niro's going
unfortunately.
to play. Yeah, right. The problem you've got is he's got
Yeah.
his set cast, and none of them are going to be able to play a woman. Fucking De Niro couldn't even play a young version of himself while he was old without moving like an old person. So,
Yeah.
but I don't think, like, it's not going to change the way that the film industry is still towards like female main characters by getting Martin Scorsese to write a female lead.
Exactly. Like that's why I was saying it feels more like a status thing to say we have like to headline a Scorsese film, then it would benefit for that movie to exist. And like you said, like if there's a story that he feels compelled to tell that centers around a woman, that's great. But if you're just doing it for the sake of writing a part for someone who you want to work with, I feel like that's probably not the best approach. But then you have to maybe also doesn't make too much sense because he ends up going back to the same people. But I think that's just like kind of that established relationship more than writing characters for them. It's just that they are working like, and also Scorsese does have a certain core to his film that seems to be similar-ish, like especially like the crime, the mafia stuff, the rise and fall. And there's just not that many, I guess, female characters or even stories from real life where someone rises to that type of power and then sinks down again, because that is usually something that more men do to abuse their power, and that's something that he ends up focusing on a bit.
If it is a based on a true story of a woman rising to power, it's often a story that no one knows, right?
Yeah.
Hidden Figures is a good one where it's literally like very, very important women about getting man to the moon. And like there are plenty of directors out there who are predominantly male lead. Like Ridley Scott is a great example. A lot of his characters are that, but also he made Alien, which is Ripley, who is a woman, and she is one of the most badass characters in like cinema history. Doesn't matter what gender she is. You have someone like George Miller, who had Mad Max. He made 3 Mad Maxes with a main character, or maybe 4 Mad Maxes with a main character who's male. But that 4th one, hang on a second, this Furiosa character is really interesting, and then made his next one Furiosa because it wasn't it wasn't Max that was important to him. It was the world, it was the character. He's done with Max. Furiosa was a more interesting character to him, so we went with that. Maybe Scorsese will do something like that. Maybe Scorsese will go, you know what? Instead of a Last Temptation Christ, let me do a Mary story instead. Let me focus on her. Let me see her side of the story because he found a character there. There's always that opportunity. And Leonardo DiCaprio is going to play Mary Magdalene. There we go. That's going to be the movie. But, what he wants to do is he can do whatever he wants because he is a masterclass director. And I'm sure if he was like
Mary
gun
and
to
Marty.
his head, Mary and Marty, if a gun to Martin Scorsese's head, and he was like, the next movie you make, you have to write a woman as your main lead. I reckon he could do it. I reckon it would be a fantastic character, and I feel like it wouldn't have felt forced like some other characters can be or can feel when you kind of go, this was probably written in the screenwriter's brain as a man and then changed to a woman, or even as a woman back to a man in like the screenwriter to directing, casting, etc., workflow. So it can be like that, but yeah, Scorsese can do what the fuck he wants.
He bases a lot of his stuff on some kind of pinpoint of history, and it just gets a bit tougher to then tell the stories that he's interested in. But like he was able to do it in Killers of the Flower Moon. But I had that criticism towards the film as well, where I thought like everyone was raving about Lily Gladstone, and I didn't see her presence as much in the film. And I think on the rewatch, her presence is felt a bit more, but not in the amount of scenes she gets and stuff to do, but more in her absence and what that tells about like what's going on. I think it's interesting, but again, I'm not holding my breath for him to have a female-led movie announced soon. Or I mean, Jesus could be a woman. Like, you know, it's not like that is totally based on like
Ariana
historical
Grande
facts.
did say God is a woman. You know?
Exactly. Then lastly, I guess to piggyback on some of the like Oscar lists being announced, the longer lists, we also have our host for this year's Oscar, and it's Conan O'Brien. And Kevin wanted me to make note that he really hopes Paul Rudd comes out to do that bit that I was shamed by Kevin, as he so often does. I wasn't aware of this bit because I never watched any like late night stuff. But apparently he brings out a clip, and Conan is always surprised. And I guess that's what Kevin is hoping. He doesn't care what wins Best Picture. He just wants Paul Rudd to make a joke. Cider, Lachlan, are you like familiar with Conan? Conan, have you watched like some of his stuff? Obviously, I think he's a great host.
I never really watched any of his stuff. I didn't really understand the appeal to him until I actually watched his shit, and I was like, oh, I get it. I see why he's funny. He's a fucking psychopath, and I love that. Same sense of humor I've got, pretty much. So I really respect him. I like what he does. And I think that he's got a sense of humor that anyone can find funny. Upper, come here. What do you think of Conan O'Brien? He just licks my mouth. This is great. This is great for the pod. What do you think of Conan O'Brien? I agree.
Yeah.
That was up for everybody.
I mean, yeah, we're gonna watch the Oscars. We'll probably have another reason to join our Discord because we'll probably watch them live with whoever wants to join us. Maybe do a drinking game or whatever. I know that you'll likely be working that night, so or like that day. So you won't be able to join us.
Off.
Maybe, and that would be a fun night to have. But until then, I think Conan will make it entertaining. I think he's a great host. He's not going to be someone who focuses on like, imagine anyone watches these movies. Like, who the fuck cares? He seems to.
You know what I don't want him to do? I don't want him to go out there and just not make fun of them, but like some of them go out there and they just like they try to bully other celebrities, but they do it in a way that's not funny. They just go out there to attack them, and it's like that is not what you should do. You should go out there and just poke fun of things, of the ridiculousness of the fact of what the Oscars are, right? Like go make fun of the Oscars. Go make fun.
Yeah, exactly.
How
about
none
the
of it fucking
not
matters.
about the films. Yeah.
And
ultimately,
don't make it about like yourself. Just be like, here's your fucking statue. What are you gonna do now? Like,
yeah, I don't know. It's
put
a
it
hard
next to your
job
other one.
to
Hans Zimmer.
Yeah, next to
he's
the
not
20
nominated
other
because
ones.
Dune 2 is not eligible to be nominated for best original score.
I think it's going back and forth. I don't know if it actually is now. Maybe.
They'll probably change the rules.
I think it was like a rumor, false reporting that they initially had that like something was out, but it never actually was, and it was just a bit bad reporting. But I think Hollywood Reporter. I don't remember, but that's me now adding to the feed of like bad reporting. Oscars will surely be entertaining, and I think a bit more bearable to watch if Conan is hosting. Then we have a couple of trailers to look at. First up, we got a follow-up to an animated film that I think did fairly well for DreamWorks, and that was The Bad Guys, that gets a sequel, because spoiler alert, in the first one they do turn good. So in the sequel, it's obligatory for them to be good, but now be forced back into being bad, because that was what the core film was about, and we can't really have a progression of characters. We always have to go back to the one thing until you get to be good again. So you have the same arc, just a bit more forced in a sequel. It takes place 5 years later and is out summer 2025. I didn't really like the first one already. I think that like it felt like a forgettable slop. It was entertaining, but not a great animated film. I don't know if you even watched that one, Lachlan, but here's the sequel.
Nope.
Do you care?
Fantastic. Yeah. I don't know if I'm interested in it, but maybe I'll watch it.
I like the end joke.
Maybe I'll like it.
I like the bit with like we're making out and it's like eating.
Yes.
Snake, you know.
I don't think I made it that far through the trailer. I kind of think I closed it halfway through and I was like, I think I get the point of this. But yeah, right. I guess, look, honestly, it wasn't the worst trailer. I'll give it that because we're about to talk about that in a moment. But I didn't see the first one. I don't have a reason to see this one. It doesn't really interest me. I feel like I've I've gotten to a point with animated movies, which I'll kind of get back to this in a second with the next trailer, where because obviously these ones are designed for kids. If it doesn't really look like it's designed to entertain adults, I don't think I'm going to be enjoying it.
Yeah.
There are definitely
Yeah,
kids
yeah.
movies that are also there to entertain adults, and this is just doesn't look like one of them. But I could totally be wrong, and if I'm wrong, let me know because then I'll watch it. And then
I don't
if you
know.
are wrong
Not really.
about saying that I was incorrect about what I initially thought, and I was actually correct about what I initially thought, but you're the one who told me that I was incorrect, and I watched it for that reason, then I'll be mad.
You'll be the bad guy.
Duh.
We got the next Pixar film that's out actually sooner than later. We just got another teaser after we already got a teaser. Here's another teaser that doesn't qualify as a trailer yet. I don't know who makes the difference, but June 15th is when we get that that next original Pixar film that I think is also aimed a bit at like younger children, because it like plays into that fantasy of like being transported into another world, and they take you at face value when you present yourself as like the leader of Earth, and the shenanigans that ensue as you travel through space and time. It looks really fun. I'm certainly going to watch whatever Pixar puts out, even the series that I think is coming out early next month. But yeah, what did you think of Elio?
All I'm going to say is I had the exact same idea for a movie like this, probably close to like 5, 6, 7, maybe even 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's copywritten Pixar. But mine was completely different in the sense that I thought it was about kids, but then I'm thinking about it now, and I'm actually thinking that it was like a 20, like a sort of like Neo in the Matrix kind of vibe, like just an average guy, random dude. And then
Yeah.
my story evolved around a spaceship flying to Earth and hovering a bit like, you know, in like District 9 or like even in Independence Day.
Guardians
Everyone's
of
like,
the
oh, fuck, what's
Galaxy.
going on? But then there's like a big like red carpet sequence like in Mars Attacks, and they communicate and they're like, hey, we're going to pick a random human to become the representative of Earth. And, you know, they're like, no, we've got someone. You know, it's the president of the United States, or, you know, it's this guy, or, you know, they like the humans pick, but they're like, no, we pick, and we pick it on like random merits or whatever. And then the random dude is picked, and, you know, his whole life goes inside out, and he's whispered away to this magical place, and, you know, he interacts with all of these aliens, and he learns that you know, they have to kind of like ask him all the questions. I'm just giving you my fucking I'm just selling you my movie idea, Ewan, at this point. And then essentially what happens is he goes to like this like the Galactic Federation or whatever it is, like where they all hang out, and, you know, they're like, oh, tell us about Earth, you know. When you eventually when you become a certain age, your planet becomes a certain age, the dominant species gets welcomed, and that's why you're here. So tell us, you know, how have you evolved past, you know, your differences between one another, your wars, you know, like how have you evolved? And he's like, you're meant to get past that. You know, we still fight. We still hate each other, just based on the color of our skin and our race and our gender. And it's like, ooh, hang on a second here. All of us have gotten past that. Why are you guys still doing it? So anyway, my movie was about like identity and like how fucked up and how much we all hate each other, even though we're all just like the same, really. Which is kind of funny and stupid. But that's basically where the story went, and then it's basically him like coming back to Earth and like telling everybody. Yeah, that's kind of as far as I got, but that's kind of like where the start of the movie goes. And then and then this movie get announced and the teaser happened, and I was like, that's my movie.
I mean, it could be something like similar to that, where he wants more than anything else to escape because he believes in another world, and then ends up realizing that he can find that like connect, like, I don't know,
Paradise at home.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's probably the story that it plays, but it could. I mean, Pixar could always turn something.
Pixar could go anywhere with it. They could make it a race thing as well. We have no idea.
They will try to make us cry, though.
They will try and make us cry. They will say aliens have feeling. I'm kidding. So
yeah, aliens don't have feelings. They're like fish.
Aliens don't have feelings. Yeah, god damn it. Kids have feelings. Yeah. All I'm saying is, I had the same idea many years ago. My idea, I think, is better, but just not as fleshed out, and is not a multi-million-dollar movie that needs to make its money back at this stage. It's just an idea in my head. Who's winning now, Pixar?
I think it's still done, probably.
Well, they still haven't made any money off of this, and I still haven't spent any money on this. They're in debt. I'm not.
That's a fair point.
Who's the
Yeah.
winner now, Pixar?
I mean, for now, yeah.
I'm ahead.
Before the battle begins, I guess. In the battle,
Let's take a
you are the
guess.
winner.
Let's take a guess. How much is the estimated budget of Elo?
200 million.
You're joking me. You don't know those
I
over your
don't-
head, right? Surely it's not 200 million.
I don't think they can make anything under 200 million. It's all speculation right now. They haven't given that information.
What was
out.
What was the one before What was the one they did before this? Luca?
Elemental was last
Elemental?
year.
How much
what
was
did they
Elemental
do?
made?
What did they do this year? Yeah, what came out this year? Inside Out 2, but that's maybe not the best comparison.
Okay, let's not use that as a comparison. Jesus Christ. Give me an original idea, not a sequel.
Well, Elemental.
I feel like Luca should be the easiest one, right?
But Elemental cost them 200 million, and Luca was 175 million. So I feel like they are not gonna.
All right,
Soul
they're
was
tiptoeing
150.
near that 200 mil. But you know what? They laid off staff, so they probably don't need to spend that much money anymore.
Sure.
That's okay. I shouldn't have made a joke about laying off staff because it's not funny to joke about people's job losses.
Well, no, we're making fun of
But
Pixar, and
we're making fun of
it's
Pixar for
fine.
being stupid for laying off people and Crunch.
There's another film that had an animation-based trilogy that is now being adapted into live action. How to Train Your Dragon out next year, literally out 2 days before Elio, if I see that correctly. So like they are currently
Someone's
scheduled
gonna
around
move.
at the same time. Yeah, they got to also in the same week, but 2 days earlier.
They're
How
gonna
to
play
Train Your
chicken.
Dragon
They're gonna
with
see who moves first.
Wednesday opening. Yeah, I guess it's not the same. You know, it's not both animation. One of them is live action, and they have a teaser trailer out that basically gives you some of the iconic moments of like Toothless, and I'm forgetting what the guy is even called in this meeting. I really like the How to Train Your Dragon films. I haven't
Hiccup.
rewatched them. Hiccup, yeah, exactly. And I think it looks decent. It looks good. It captures I don't know, a good translation. To me, it's just I don't know why. Obviously, it's money, but to me, it's like why why do we do this? Obviously, we don't get to see much of the teaser, and we know what the story is the entire way through. I just don't really care about this, even if it ends up being good. Because it feels so like I don't know, so lacking soul or anything interesting, because it's nothing new in any sort of way. It's just a remake. But yeah, what did you make of this? You're gonna seek this one out?
Let's just say, so look, he directed Lilo and Stitch, How to Train Your Dragon, How to Train Your Dragon 2, How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, and then he's got a couple other things in there that he's also done. If he is doing the live action adaptation of How to Train Your Dragon, he's the director of How to Train Your Dragon. I actually have faith in this being good because he knows how to make a good fucking animated movie, and he knows that he is one of the very few people who gets to make the live action version of the animated movie that they made, right? Because I'm sure he is not directing the Lilo and Stitch live action movie that's coming out next year.
Oh yeah, that's also coming out. I just don't get why all of these are like. Why are we moving into this direction? Obviously, Disney started this to make it popular with all of their stuff, but
Lilo and Stitch is being directed by Dean Fleischer, the editor, director. Let me just get director up. Director of Marcel the Shell with Suzon as a tongue twister. Maybe it's actually going to be okay, but all I'm going to say is not the same director as the original Lilo and Stitch. Probably grew up on Lilo and Stitch, which is kind of cute, but all I'm going to say is this guy, he made it, How to Train Your Dragon. I'm sure he can do a good job of it. I am okay with this live action. I'm actually kind of keen for it, if I'm honest, because I really enjoy How to Train Your Dragon 1. And I wouldn't mind seeing it live action. I think it would be quite cinematic and pretty.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
we'll see.
Change the color of my hat to red,
Cap.
and
Hat.
then we say make How to Train Your Dragon again, because they're doing that. But yeah, that's all I had to say.
I thought you were trying to do a segue.
No.
Okay, never mind. I've only been recording for an hour. My God, there we go. I don't, because I've only got one screen. I can't like look at Oh, God.
Yeah, that's what I've been eyeing it, and I was just like, Jesus Christ. But no, we got a new trailer for a Minecraft movie. The kids are yearning for the mines. April 2nd is when that one is gonna be out, and we get to see a bit more of the world that isn't just actors in front of green screens, but we get to see actors in front of green screens, but sometimes the camera is a bit more further away. And yeah, it
Still
looks better than the first one.
terrible.
It looks better than the first trailer though. And
Yeah.
I think
'Cause
there
some
will
of the
be a
CG
sort
is
of
complete, maybe.
embrace. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think there will be a sort
And
of
most of
embrace
the
for
start
this
of the
film.
movies happen in the real world. Sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt you, but I'm just trying to figure
Sure.
out
I mean,
why the fucking movie's
the
better.
literal
The trailer's better. Sorry.
trailer thing is like saying that Jack Black yearned for the mines, kept mining until he just kind of found Minecraft.
Yeah. He also was. He's also a child slave because he was a child miner.
Well, no. He was yearning for the mines, Lachlan.
Yeah, no. He
So.
definitely worked for.
They
a
yearn
company
for the
that-
mines.
He definitely worked for Amazon. That's the company he was working for in the mines.
Sure.
As a child was Amazon, most likely.
Yeah, I mean Microsoft works as well, right? They got it now.
But I don't know the true facts of which companies are using child exploitation.
I have a spreadsheet, but they also have
fantastic.
they have the chicken
Quiet on
farmer
Set
thing.
podcast. Hang on a second.
Oh God. yeah. The true inspiration behind that is.
Hey, don't stop.
Produced
keep
by
cranking,
Nickelodeon.
Keep cranking that fucking generator. I need the power for this. Yeah. Right, that was just me telling the kid to keep fucking doing the thing.
Yeah. No, you need it. You need it, especially in the different setup. Sometimes they act up, and you need to keep them down.
Exactly.
And your home isn't safe anymore, so that's why Lachlan has to go away for a week or two.
Yeah.
But this looks to me like it will have an audience that will go crazy for it, maybe even in an ironic way, and will just like scorn. No, this is actually so bad. I don't know.
I want to play a game when the Minecraft movie comes out. I want to get a timer, and I want to see how long it takes me to get bored of the Minecraft movie, and then I just want to watch a 10-hour. No narration, no commentary of just some guy just mining in Minecraft and see which video or movie I get bored of first. The 10-hour mining compilation or the Minecraft movie, which if it's any longer than 90 minutes, I think I'm going to cry. Let's find out.
It's 99 minutes.
99. It's 9 minutes over its runtime.
To be fair, it could be 9 minutes of credits. So maybe it could go back under in like actual movie length.
How the fuck is the guy that made Nacho Libre making the Minecraft movie? What the fuck? Why is he not a Minecraft YouTuber at this stage?
I heard in the German translation for it, there's like a really big YouTuber that is doing the narrator's voice for it. But
fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know. They incorporate
Let me go look at hang on, give me a second. I just want to look at Minecraft
Valkyrie, I
YouTubers
think,
for a
is in
second
it.
and see what they're doing these days.
Not Minecraft YouTubers, because most of them turn out to be pedophiles. Unfortunately.
Not this one too. Not him too.
Yeah.
Oh God, not them. Oh wait. I unsubscribed to them years ago. Thank God.
Like Martin Luther King said, "I had a dream."
Man, we are on it today, aren't we? This is the episode where we get cancelled. This is
the episode that needs to be cut. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm the one who's doing the edit, so I'm the one who gets the choice of what jokes stay in and what jokes stay.
You can cut
out.
this whole trailer section. Like I don't care actually. Let's talk about Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance of Most Fowl. Premiered at the AFI Fest. That's taking place in LA and had some pretty positive reactions. I saw for you, Lachlan, this one is out in theaters on December 19th. So you might even be able to catch this one because on Netflix it won't be available until early next year on January 3rd. I don't know if you watched another trailer because we looked at this and you're sold. You want to see this. I don't have much to add beyond. I'm very excited for this. It looks great. I'm very much looking forward to it. It's pretty much all I got to say.
Let's go. I'm keen.
And then we got Back in Action, another Netflix film where after 10 years of retirement, Cameron Diaz returns because, well, who will make the millions for her if she doesn't star in a pretty horrible sound edited trailer so far, but also just a really bland action film with Jamie Foxx. That one's out early next year as well, Jan 17th. I just wanted to take note that Cameron Diaz is back for whatever this is. And yeah, I don't know.
This is the movie where she got yelled at by Jamie Foxx. This is great. I can't
Yeah.
wait to see it. Great choice by her.
He's looking forward to it.
I think the entertainment factor of whatever this movie is going to be, which I believe it's going to be horrible, is definitely worth it.
I mean, it's a very generic premise. You got someone who's retired, but they gotta unretire. So it's like meta in a sense. Even the name is back in action. It's Cameron Diaz, but she used to be like,
All
agent.
Cameron Diaz has to do, and I know that Cameron Diaz isn't as young as she used to be. What is she going to be, like 40, what, 2 now? 40, 52. Okie dokie, never mind. I was 10 years off, but she's 52 years old. She's a little bit late to this, but here's what she needs to do. She needs to Robert Pattinson herself.
What does that mean?
So she needs to pick indie films.
Oh,
This is meant to be some big fucking action.
don't think she's trying
Netflix
to reinvent herself.
No, that's what she needs to do. If she
Okay.
wants to get back into acting, what she needs to do is she's done
What's
these
she-
big movies, right?
Back in action, not back into acting. Lachlan, I think you
Shut the
misread the title.
Listen. Okay, here's what she's gonna do.
Okay.
She's gonna come back. Okay, she's gonna come back. She's gonna do, some little things. She's gonna do like little independent films, right? She
Yeah.
can do a
yeah.
Robert Eggers movie. She's gonna do. She should do like a.
You know, it would be very
What?
funny if like she's just out of the zeitgeist for the last 10 years and she just pairs up with the most horrible people just because she doesn't know. She hasn't been in the
Yeah.
industry. It's just like,
Yeah,
oh,
she doesn't know. She's just like, yeah. Is Martin Scorsese making movies about women now? And everyone's like, yeah.
Yeah, actually, he's doing that
okay.
right after the one with Kevin Spacey.
Right after that, yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
Okay, so she comes back. She does a bunch of indie films. She does a Robert Eggers movie. She then is like, all right, cool. I'm kind of getting back into this. She does a couple big ones. She does like a movie with, let's say, a bigger director. Let's say a movie that not many people liked from that big director. Let's say let's just throw it out there, like a Christopher Nolan. Let's make it some timey-wimey thing that
Mhm.
that she's in it, and she does like she's like the side character, and then she does a big movie. We're talking like a superhero movie. She could play like a superhero of some
Mhm.
kind, but not in the universes that were already established, with a spin-off universe. And we should get some random director who hasn't directed anything like majorly huge in terms of like scale. Let's just say, Ewan, do you know anybody that could make a movie about a superhero?
I think Matt Walsh. No.
Speaking of Matt Walsh,
Luca
great
Guadagnino.
idea. Matt Reeves. Let's do Luca Guadagnino. That's a great idea. Luca Guadagnino. And then she's going to make a movie with a Korean director that's never going to come out.
Yeah, and that will go into like her retirement as well. It's the retirement arc.
That's
where,
Robert
like,
Pattinson's career.
Yeah.
Robert Eggers, Christopher Nolan, Matt Reeves, Bong
Yeah.
Joon-ho.
Bong Joon-ho, yes.
He's just basically collecting like the Infinity Stones of the people that want to save cinema.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, he really made it from escaping that like kind of hole that you have from being in a young adult type of fantasy movie series, and not many do.
And you know what? So did Kristen Stewart. So is Kristen Stewart. I'll give it to her.
Yeah,
She's
not
escaping.
not as much though, but
She's just
but
taking
yeah.
a little bit longer. She needs to do
She's waiting
the Matt Reeves
for
part.
No, she's waiting for Scorsese to cast her in the lead role.
She's so ready. Yeah, she's also like, is Scorsese doing women
Yeah.
movies yet?
Is
Yeah.
Scorsese doing women? It's like, I don't know. He's too old.
Should we
I don't
get
know if he's still doing
Scorsese
women.
to make a Bridesmaids sequel? Hear me out.
Okay. Yeah, no, I don't have a joke, but I feel like that would kind of work. He
Yeah, okay,
he
cool,
could do
sweet.
it.
Yeah,
And
sweet,
then
sweet.
all
Okay.
just like instead of jokes, they just do crimes. Anyways, we also got a short little teaser for Alien Earth. We only have like the loose release date window of next year out there, and yeah, it's basically a reference back to that Alien Free teaser that were like this time they're on Earth, but now they're actually doing it. We don't really see much of this, but I'm very excited to see like a Alien TV show because I don't think we've gotten one so far, right? So this is the first one. And
Believe so, yeah.
big fans of the Alien franchise. Very much looking forward to this. And yeah, that's basically all the trailers. There's a couple more that came out this week, like Apple Cider Vinegar, which seems to be another Netflix film about like someone lying, and a Netflix series. I don't even know if it's a series or a movie. Just like that same type of shtick that they keep repeating. There's a Nonsense Christmas with Sabrina Carpenter. A bit of a special with her on the verge of like her searching popularity this year. You got a second trailer for Baby Girl, Den of Thieves 2, Pantera, another action film in the Partenope, a new film from Paolo Sorrentini. Lachlan's having fireworks behind him because he likes Den of Thieves. It takes place in Naples, and it is like about the beauty of someone and how she can be like only seen as like her beauty, but she has more to herself. I found the movie to be kind of pandering, but that one comes out early next year. And then we got Seth Rogen in the studio. That's another series that is going to be very meta about the movie industry, about someone who works for a studio or something like that. It seemed to hit the right notes when I caught the trailer. It didn't look too bad. But that's all the trailers for this week. But because we already spent so much time in all of the news, Lachlan, let's head on over and talk about what we've been watching this week. First up, before we do get into that, again, don't forget to join our Discord, leave a rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, subscribe to the channel. We're making it to 500 subscribers pretty soon, so thank you for all of those who subscribed. And then I do want a checkup on you, Lachlan. You probably don't have it with you because you're house sitting, but how far along are you in this book?
I read the first like 5 to 10 pages, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go do something else now. I haven't read anything yet, so I haven't actually got it with me at the moment.
You gotta do it because the bad guys are closing in, man. The bad guys close in.
Yeah, I decided I was you're gonna see in a minute because I have started. Well, I've been watching a lot of movies this week, and you know that you see my letterbox, so I haven't read anything so that I can watch things.
You know, he hasn't read one, so he can see read one.
All right, go on. Start with your Red One fucking review. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, I watched Red One, and it's so funny when The Rock goes Pebble mode, right? The joke that I made already last week. Codename Red One, Santa Claus. Krampus is there, and he's the little bro of J.K. Simmons. Action movie without anything in it. I feel like they yap in between, and then there's a bit of action, and then they go back to yapping and a bit of action. I just found it really, really, really annoying. I don't have much else to say other than that. Like, I didn't find it entertaining. It just kind of annoyed me. It's really one that you have to skip. Don't watch it. Don't support it in any sort of way. And it's funny because like the director Jake Kasdan has been casting Cameron Diaz in her roles before she retired, right? Sex Tape and Bad Teacher. And with her back on the market now, who's to say that in Jumanji 3, maybe Cameron Diaz pops up? Yeah, I gave it a 1 star. I called Your Monster, which just kind of plopped onto VOD without leaving much of a mark. And it's Melissa Barrera who's in this, who gets broken up with after she has cancer and is recovering from it. And her ex is like putting on this play that she now doesn't get to be a part of because he's basically cutting her. And then she has like a monster in her like room ever since she was a child that like comes up and suddenly is like some kind of loose love interest, but also has her best intentions at heart, like trying to help her like get over this. And it's a horror film. It's a horror romance in a way. It's like very odd. I don't think it works a lot. I gave it like a 2 out of 5. It's fine. Small Things Like These, an Irish film about like a period of time when women when they were pregnant were taken away by the church, by the nuns, to like separate them from their children. A really, really dark time. And then basically it's about Cillian Murphy at the lead here, that is like, even Kevin said he looks even more miserable than he did in Oppenheimer, because it's about like small things like these, like small gestures that end up kind of opposing that sort of system that was just kind of ignored but known about in Ireland. So yeah, that one is, I think, on the page better than in execution, but Cillian Murphy is someone who obviously elevates that quite a bit with his performance. Then Liam Neeson, after this one came out, said that he's probably done with action roles. It's called Absolution. And it's about like a retired ex-boxer. There's also a gangster that was like in prison for a while, and now that he knows that he's about to die, he wants to make retributions and I don't know, solve some of the bad family relationships he has, and it just kind of falls flat on its face. It doesn't really work. There's also not a ton of action in it. Probably because Liam Neeson is really, really old at this stage, and he should maybe do some more like actual acting other than like these completely dumbfounded action roles that he keeps taking. It's like a 1.5 out of 5 for this one. And then this one, Lachlan, you gotta put this on your watch list. I watched Mods from David Moreau. So this is a French horror film that basically starts off as a guy taking a bunch of drugs. He gets in a car and then he drives. We never cut from this. It's like smoothly, like the camera just follows him as he like drives off. We drive past him and then he stops because someone's like on the side of the street, hops into his car. It's like behaving weirdly. It's like, what's her deal? She just seems kind of sick. She's like bleeding all over the place, but can't speak. Like, what's going on? And he takes her, drives with her. We're now in the car with him. And then I don't want to say more than that because it keeps going with this character who is now having to deal with someone who doesn't want to go to the hospital, but he's also really getting high at the same time he's about to head out to a party. And then this movie doesn't cut for 86 minutes, and it is the most high octane horror I felt all year. And I didn't want to overhype it because it does have, and I'm doing it right now, because it does have a couple of moments where like obviously shooting it all in one go has its limitations, and then most of the time you're like, how the fuck are you doing all of this? It's really impressive, like a small scale in the sense of its budget, but not of its idea and execution. I think this is a really, really neat horror film that more people got to check out. It's streaming on Shudder, and I think if we talk about the best action of the year, this at least deserves an audible mention. So that's Mods, and yeah, go give it a try. And yeah, I caught Mystery River. You talked about this, I think, like last year or maybe earlier this year.
You did it again. You did it again.
Oh, Did I say Mystery River again?
You said it again.
Because I wrote down Mystic River. Sorry. Mystic River. I'm sorry, Mr. Eastwood. I hope you. I don't know what he would do. He's so old. But this is another Clint Eastwood film that is a bit of a blind spot for me. It's streaming on Netflix, so I was like, hey, let's just put this one on. I've been putting it off quite a bit, and then I was kind of stunned by like basically all of the lead performances here. I think Sean Penn, Tim Robbins, Kevin Bacon, Lawrence Fishburne, like they're all really, really good in this. I think some of the story stuff leaves a bit to be desired when you want more maybe like an emotional arc for some of these characters, when it is very much then concerned about like how the intrigue and the thrilling aspects of the plot come together towards the end. But I think it's a really great acting showcase, and I quite liked it. I live texted while watching Kevin. It's like, oh, I hate these children at the start. And I was like, hey, I'm right in there. I'm hating the kids from the get-go. And then I was like very pleased when it's only just briefing when they disappear from the film. But Mystic River, not Mystery River. Yeah, really good movie to check out if you haven't already. Then couple new films that released this today, actually on Friday. Spellbound, a pretty forgettable musical Netflix film with Rachel Zegler, and a really big cast if you look at it, you know, with Nicole Kidman, Javier Bardem, John Lithgow, and it's just a bit boring overall. The Piano Lesson, we get like 3 Denzels working on one movie with Malcolm Washington, one of the sons of Denzel that hasn't really done like a lot of directing or anything yet. Then John David Washington in one of the lead roles, and Denzel Washington as a producer. And it's the 3rd adaptation of the stage plays by August Wilson about like a family who has had a piano in their possession for years now, and it's bound with a lot of generational trauma dating back to slavery, and that kind of possession that looms over this piano that they took from their slave owner, and how he is now haunting them in the house. And the movie takes an approach where like the supernatural elements are very much at the forefront at one point in the film, and that is where it kind of lost me. Because I think the drama aspects were really strong. Danielle Detweiler gives an incredible performance in this. I think it's one of the year's best when it comes to that. But I feel like the way that it was just kind of put onto Netflix, it will probably not get a lot of attention. But I think it's worth seeing for her alone. And then Joy is basically a movie about like how they came about making in vitro fertilization and basically making it possible for a lot of women who struggle with infertility to be able to bear children, and how much opposition they faced while they were doing it, and also still to this day, I think, because I remember back in college, we had a class in biology where that came up as well, where we discussed it. And I think in the school that I went to, I think like about a third or half of our class was quite religious. And then like the debates were actually kind of interesting to see, because like what you actually end up representing. But yeah, that's that. And then Cobra Kai has like a 3-part 6 season. That's the final one. And then they're doing a movie next. And this one, like, I don't know what it is with that series, but it always needs to end in like a big brawl that is usually like doesn't really make sense. It just kind of happens. And they just want to up the stakes each time. Or like people walk around with like, you know, a knife behind their back because they're about to kill someone else. Like, what is this? They're supposed to fight each other with karate. Like, what is going on? It's a very like horribly written and often acted show. It's still entertaining though, because sometimes these teenagers do punch each other quite a bit, and that is entertaining. So like, I don't know, I keep watching. It's like a train wreck. I can't look away. And then the final episode of Arcane is out now by the time you're watching this. And we'll be catching up with it as well. And it's just been a really, really solid 2-season run for it. I hope they do like spin-offs, because I think they're closing the story with this. But yeah, that's my recommendation. And then Lachlan, I gotta hear from you. Like, how Wicked was Wicked?
So you want me to start with Wicked? Okay. I know that there's not a lot of people who are super duper like fond of it right now. I know that some people are kind of like on the lower end. I know some people, most people are kind of in the middle, who are a little bit higher.
I mean, check the letterbox curve.
Yeah.
Seems like a lot of positive people on it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That is quite positive, actually. Yeah, it's actually a lot more positive than I thought it was. Definitely more positive than it was the other day. I definitely am not someone who is a musical nut, fanboy, major, you know, like, I gotta go see, you know, this musical, yada, yada, yada. I've seen a couple here and there. I haven't actually seen Wicked, so this is one of my first experiences, but I know some of the songs, funnily enough, because I have heard them. Now, here's what I'm going to say. 2 hours and 40 minutes, which is, I'm pretty sure what the runtime of this is, 161 minutes, is a very fucking long time. Did I feel that it could have been shorter? There is only one moment in this film that I actually thought about that, and that was getting a bit towards the end when they finally get to the Emerald City, and at that point, it was probably about 40 minutes left in the movie. And all I will say is, if that was the only moment that made me feel that way, the movie is fine in terms of length. Being a part 1 of part 2, this is one of the very few movies I am very keen for a part 2 for, because the end of this movie is such a high where other movies don't do that sort of ending that well. Honestly, after seeing this, I kind of realized how of much of a lull Dune Part 1 kind of ends on, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. But this movie, it ends on such a big high note. It's a massive sequence. It's stunning. It's beautiful. Cynthia Erivo, her vocals are just on stage. I literally had goosebumps in that scene, and it's like, yep, to be continued. And I was like, yep, you know what? Super keen. So I liked it. I really enjoyed almost every single musical number. I actually thought the opening musical number with Cynthia in it was fantastic. Ariana Grande, for me, took a little bit of time to get used to and not really want to just keep being annoyed by the entire time. And eventually I came around to both of them just being absolutely fantastic, both Cynthia and Ariana as the main 2 characters. But all I will say is Michelle Yeoh really took me by surprise with her character, with how simple it was, but how well she played it, and how well she kind of articulated particular words, and she kind of eventually becomes not really a spoiler if you know the character in the story, but she eventually becomes a bit more of a villain, and I really enjoyed that turn, which is quite nice. But I think for me, this is the best role that Jeff Goldblum has ever played. It's almost like this is a role that is designed for Goldblum, and you'll totally know what I mean if you see him in this, because the character he plays, the wizard, it's like if you have to imagine him, all I could really imagine is Jeff Goldblum as a person, and I think he absolutely nails it, and I really would like more of him in part 2. I really, really would, because he is only in the last 40 minutes of this movie, and I really want him to be in it a lot more because I really like him. Like, I really, really do. I like him as a character. I like the wizard as like an idea. We don't really get to see much of him in any of these sort of narratives set in this world. His shtick is, he's not really a wizard. He's more of like an inventor, and he has all this jazz. But for me, everything was fantastic. I don't think there was a single flaw to the movie, other than maybe the runtime, other than maybe a few of the musical numbers not being as big as what they could be, and a little bit of roughish CG. But I definitely could give this a higher rating once part 2 comes out, similar to how I feel with Dune part 1. Once I've seen part 2, I kind of put them together. I'm like, yeah, put them together. This thing's going to be fantastic. And I'm sure when Dune 3 comes out, or whatever it's going to be, Dune Messiah comes out, and that whole trilogy is done, I'm just going to be fucking frothing all over it, being like, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. Wicked is a 4-star movie. In fact, I'm actually... Oh, God, am I going to do it? Fucking, I'm going to say it. It's a 4.5-star movie.
Okay. Damn, I didn't expect that for a musical from you.
I fucking loved it. I actually had so much fun watching this movie. So, yeah. People aren't going to like it as much as me. I totally get it. I had a lot of fun in the cinema watching this one. Yeah, and I didn't have to take it too seriously. And Peter Dinklage plays a goat, so...
Yeah. What do you want?
What more do you want?
Yeah, I don't know when I'll be able to... I'll try and see it for next week, right? But it's not out here until like the middle of December, unfortunately. It's a bit odd why they don't do Glick It here. Yeah, but we'll talk about this a bit more in detail. I think I'm someone who likes musicals quite a bit as well. So if the music is good, not of that, I'll probably... I would be surprised if I'm as high on it as you are, but I'm trying to go into it without having like any preconceived notions about it.
Yes, go in. I was also surprised how I came out with such a high rating. I feel like I am maybe a little bit blindsided by
it's a great
vocal
musical.
talents that were on display. It's a great musical. Haven't seen it, but heard it's fantastic. I probably got taken away by the vocals more than anything else, and I really enjoyed a lot of it. But honestly, I think the way that this movie ends is on such a high that I was just like, yep, I want to give this 5 stars. This is fucking fantastic. That I then sat about it and thought about it. I was like, nuts.
Which is what you usually want from you. Like, I remember, because I've done a musical or two myself. And like, the songs that he plays right before the act break is usually one of your biggest, like it's the biggest song.
Yeah.
Everyone's involved. And I assume, that's basically what they do here to end on a really, really high note.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it now from like the crazy response to it. I feel like the critical response has been lower, but audiences through the roof for this one. It's one of the ones that we are definitely going to see pop up in the Oscar race as like a popular pick. No pun intended. But it's going to make so much money.
What would it come under? Not the soundtrack, I guess, because it's musical. What are musicals like? Can't be the score. It has to be the soundtrack.
It could be Best Picture.
Biggest score?
I think it is like not unlikely that this one gets into Best Picture.
Yeah, but like for the musical stuff, would it be in score or no? It wouldn't be in score. It'd be in sound. Like it's like soundtrack, best song. Probably be a best song, wouldn't it?
No, but that's usually best song written for it. I don't know if adaptations of a musical. I don't know how that works, to be honest.
Well, look, all I want to say is I thought it was like some of the best music in a movie of the year.
Yeah,
I thought it was well put together.
Defying Gravity is one of the best musical songs ever, and then Popular is a great one. They have like smaller ones in between that are really good. I like the music in the musical to this one, and no doubt Ariana is an incredible singer. I haven't heard as much of a couple of things from Cynthia, but Yeah, no doubt. I feel like that will be
Cynthia is incredible.
okay.
That is all I'm going to say.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to it. Equally incredible, the Ministry of Ungentlemanly
Warfare. So last week I said that I started 2 movies, Hundreds of Beavers and Ungentlemanly Warfare, and I finished both of those. And we'll talk about Hundreds of Beavers shortly. But the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare was such a stupidly fun ride that I enjoyed it so much that I gave it 2.5 stars. And I have nothing more to say about it than that. I don't really want to watch, because I said if it's good, I'm going to watch the other Guy Ritchie stuff, and I was going to okay, if that's it, I don't really feel like I want to watch Operation Fortune or whatever the other one before this was that I haven't seen. I was just like, I don't care at this stage.
To be fair, they are very similar. I think Wrath of Man was the other one that you haven't seen.
Yep. I was just like, I don't care.
The Covenant.
Like, I'm not. Speaking of directors that don't write women, where the fuck is the Guy Ritchie hate? Right? Why is it all on Scorsese?
I think people just don't care. It's so, like, he's so stuck in the early 2000s that you're like, women existed in the early 2000s, and that's like his range of characters.
I also want to mention that I watched the Half-Life 2 20th anniversary documentary on YouTube, and I gave it a solid 3 stars. It's a little bit slow as a documentary, but it does give you a lot of new information around episode 3, which is kind of cool, because obviously there is no Half-Life 3, there was no episode 3. The joke is that Valve never does a third of any of their video games, and I am a pretty big fan of the Half-Life series. I really, really do like the games. I have played 1, 2, all the episodes. Alex, I literally bought a VR headset just to play Half-Life Alex, and I would absolutely love for there to be a Half-Life 3 because I love the world, I love the story. Like when I went to Europe for the first time, I literally was giggling because the streets look so much like Half-Life 2, with how like Eastern European the setting is for Half-Life. So I geeked out when I was like, "Ooh, it's a bit like when I'm Gordon Freeman running through the anyway." But yeah, I watched that, and it's actually the second video game documentary I've watched this year. So funnily enough, I actually have watched documentaries this year, but just on video games. The other one was the Last of Us Part 2 doco that Naughty Dog released. Yeah.
I guess they're not getting nominated for Oscars, which is
yes. Oh,
snubbed.
I also started it last night, but I got really tired and I went to bed. Between the Temples, I started watching that because again, I'm making my way through things I need to catch up on. There's a lot of movies I watched this week because I also watched Orion in the Dark and Madam Web. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 movies this week. Look at that. That's almost one a day. How incredible! Ewan, come on. That's got to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8. Well, that's a TV show. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, okay, fuck off. Never mind.
Are you counting my stuff?
Yeah, I'm counting your stuff.
I also honestly had my lowest week last week. I watched 2 films in 1 week, and then on the Monday I ended up watching like 6 because I was like, this is not acceptable. Like my Letterboxd stat are like at an all-time low. This is not good. And I saw someone who logged their like to Wicked to be their 600th vlog of the year, and I was like, I'm not at 600 yet, and I got angry at myself. I was like, no, you're not. No, gotta get back into it.
You're gonna be close to 600, right? You're like 552 or something like that.
I don't know. I think I'm like 30 off from 600.
587, dude. You are so close, man.
Yeah.
You are literally 13 movies away. That is easy.
Oh no, that's it. I just saw someone else get that before me and posted on social media, and I was like,
I know.
I don't like it. I don't like this feeling.
You should just watch another like.
No, I don't want to watch shit. I realized after the festival season this year that some of the stuff that I know is not going to be of value of what I have to say about it because it's just bad, and we kind of know that it's bad. I really had no interest to watch it, and I didn't have that previously because I still wanted to make that opinion for myself, and I didn't feel that. So like I've been in a bit of a lull to actually watch stuff. But let's talk about something that I watched earlier this year. With one of our main reviews, something that is in the running for an animated Oscar with Orion and the dark.
Hello, darkness, my new friend. A boy with an active imagination faces his fears of an unforgettable journey through the night with his new friend, a giant, smiling creature named Dark.
Voiced by Paul Walter Hauser and Orion by Jacob Tremblay, who I think does a great job of like bringing to life a kid that is very much consumed by all of his fears. And I think when I brought this up to you earlier this year, and you hadn't watched it yet, I said that like it's pretty hard to, I guess, root for a character that is fundamentally so different from yourself, someone where you get quite frustrated with their behavior. And then I found myself to be like really engrossed in what this movie ultimately ends up being about, where it ends. So throughout the film, I was like, okay, this is like middle of the road, kind of normalish, and like animation storytelling where we get a bunch of like Pixar-ish representation of something that represents something in the night, not taken too literally, but they serve the plot, the story, less the characters. And then in the Pixar way, you hope that like something big for the character ends up happening, so you're emotionally involved, and that movie had that. Towards the end there, this is going to be a spoiler review for me. I definitely recommend it. I really, really liked it. I could feel the influence that Charlie Kaufman had on the screenplay of this. And yeah, I've already given my rating months ago. I'm curious about like what you thought of it though, because I really liked it. I thought it was really, really beautiful.
I thought it was okay. I didn't like think it was anything super crazy, but I still thought it was really thoughtful. Obviously written by Charlie Kaufman, it always intrigued me since learning about it. So I was really wanting to watch it for a while, but again, I just never got around to it until now. So yeah, I thought the way that it jumped around a little bit with time, kind of sporadically and throwing it in your face with being like, yes, so I'm a father now telling my daughter this story, which was an interesting change up and introduced her into the narrative, which was kind of cool. And then eventually it linked together, and that was all just like, yep. And then the end is a little bit messy, but you can follow it. And you're just kind of going, what the fuck is going on with this movie? So honestly, like it's well put together. It's very thoughtful. Originally I was sitting at a 2.5 star, but it comes up to a 3 star only for the Werner Herzog jokes that they have in like the start of the movie, and then like where he like watching a documentary, and it's like about the nothingness or whatever of the universe, and
he's
that's just like
narrating it.
such a Herzog thing to talk about, like the nothingness of the universe. And how life is like meaningless or whatever. But for me, I guess I didn't really get attached to anyone or anything. I didn't really find it that much of an emotional journey, and I feel like there is definitely something we can all relate to with the fear of the dark, but I feel like they definitely could have linked it to something of value, of thematically maybe, but I just didn't really get anything to latch onto that crazily.
To me, it ultimately really came together when it was jumping in time, when he basically grew past his own fear and was able to change something for, like, you could have that fear for what you give down to your children, and they suffer even greater under your shortcomings. But then it like took that in a way that you can grow from that together, because you have that understanding now. And I think I found that to be like really, really beautiful. Like it got me a bit emotional. And like obviously, like this is, if it were just Charlie Kaufman writing it, an animated movie about kids, mainly for children, we would probably not get one that is like to be understood by children. But it is based on like a children book series by I think Emma Violet is the name. And if you look at the illustrations of that book, I think it's like really beautiful, and is very much about trying to understand the dark and seeing it as a something that adds to you, to like contextualize your fears and grow from them. And I think that's just like something really valuable to put out there into the world, when a lot of kids movies are more about the bang bop, there's a bunch of yellow tic tacs that can shoot bombs. And this one added something to me to it that I found like this would be something that I would love to show to a kid who's struggling with something, to like work through it in an like, you get entertainment, but you also get like a lesson that's not hammered home too much. And I think that is something that I would really compliment. Like you, I didn't get invested in a lot of the like characters that they wanted us to get invested in.
I guess I had higher hopes for it for being a Kaufman movie, just
Exactly.
like to go somewhere, and it is a kids movie, so like the simplicity of fear is a difficult thing to overcome. It's not as simple as we may explain it, be explained by adults by what fear is, and we may never like ever overcome all of our fears, and just life is crazy, like scary, and like they reference about how like not knowing what happens when you die, like that is a fear that you can never overcome. And I was like, oh god, there's the Kaufman coming out in a kids movie. So it is there, but I guess I just don't feel like it ever reached its full Kaufman potential. And
no,
that's okay because it is a kids movie. So yeah, but like 3 stars is a pretty positive review for me for this.
For me, I feel like it's probably closer to a 7 than an 8 out of 10, but I ended up giving it like an 8. It's like a 7.5 out of 10. I definitely recommend it. I don't think it has much of a shot at getting into the final 5 of the Oscars, but for something that is so readily available on Netflix, there's also the Super Mario Bros. Movie that's entertaining, but I think this one is just it adds a bit more to like an actual experience of like I feel like you have a kid sitting down with their parents watching a film together, and they have something to talk about after this, which I don't know, maybe that's just like the educator in me that's like, that is valuable, great stuff, you had a lesson movie. But I quite liked it, and I was surprised of how much I liked it because I didn't like it initially. But yeah, that's that. Let's move on to our next feature, which is definitely the highlight. A bit of an underrated gem that kind of came out of nowhere. And if you look back at when it is dated to, when it was made, it's all the way back from 2022. Had a huge, long festival run, and then finally released in April on digital, and that's Hundreds of Beavers, that kind of ties this weird way of storytelling that it feels like animation at parts, but it clearly isn't. It's like an interesting mold of just a creative outlet coming to the forefront to give you one of the most entertaining films of the year.
In the 19th century, a drunken Applejack salesman must go from zero to hero and become North America's greatest fur trapper by defeating hundreds of beavers.
Possibly thousands.
Comes
in at a runtime of 108 minutes, but I gotta say it's one of the quickest 108 minutes I've watched in a while. It's been received incredibly well over on Letterboxd. It's currently sitting at a 4.2, and I think it has like upwards to the 70,000 people who've almost 70,000 people who've logged it. And 7.7 over on IMDb. I couldn't find a reported budget for it, but you just feel like even if there's a dollar amount there, it couldn't account for the amount of like passion, blood, and sweat that was put into this, because it feels like it's all out there. It's got a really unique vision. We got a behind the scenes video that we can link to you that gives you a quick glimpse into like how they storyboarded and put all of this together. Lachlan, I think it's fair to say that like this is obviously, it has found its audience, especially on a place like Letterboxd. But to me, this is one of the best films of the year that isn't talked about as much. I think it's the funniest film of the year. It is in the running for one of the most entertaining ones. And still, I feel like it could be very much not your thing at all. Kevin told me that I should tell this on the podcast, that like he showed it to a group of friends of his, like 5 or 6 friends. They sat down and watched this, and he was the only one laughing. No one laughed. And then at some point, it just kind of stopped, and he went to continue watching it by himself while they played Mario Kart. And then by the end, they came back and was like, oh, that's actually really funny. And I told them they haven't earned it. They haven't earned it, because like the whole progression of this movie is like basically you get all of the setup in place, and then it has this video game aesthetic of like leveling up, and all of the sound effects come together, and the repetition and the beats.
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing gone dark, where you actually just like after Tim Nook and trying to like kill him. No, I got to hear from you. What do you think? Because we unanimously, all of us in Quiet on Set, really, really like this one.
I remember hearing about this ages ago. You telling me that I would fucking love this movie. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I don't know. Like maybe the hype has built it up too much that I'm not going to enjoy it, which definitely has been the case sometimes where you've told me about a movie so far in advance and you're like, yeah, you're really positive about it. I'm watching. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm not a fan. But I think this takes the cake for probably the funniest movie of the year for me. It is hilarious. It is just so funny, and for a movie with no dialogue, you can follow it so easily. And I think that's a testament to good filmmaking and good storytelling. And I know that it's going to be a bit film bro of us to pick apart a movie like this about how it's so, like Orion in the Dark, so thematically intense.
Charlie
It's not.
Kaufman-esque.
It's so much fun. It's stupid. It's enjoyable. It's classic. Just I want to make you laugh comedy, and I feel like movies like this don't exist anymore, where the entire purpose of it is to entertain and make you laugh, and that is why I love it. The crazy, because I agree. If you watch the start of this, it's a lot slower than what the last 30 minutes is. And that last 30 minutes, I was just like crying, dude. I was just literally in pain from laughing from how ridiculous everything gets. And I loved almost every moment of it. I love the style of it, the look of it as well. I think that just adds so much to the film, that it's not clean. Like, it's literally dirty. It's grainy. It's black and white. The audio is at least the way it's designed. The sound design is fairly simple sound design with it all, over the top sound effects. It takes so much inspiration from classic slapstick comedy, Chaplin style comedy, Looney Tunes style comedy, and kind of brings it all together in this really cool fucking package that just absolutely lands for me. And I feel like would land for most people if they're open to accepting it and just letting it do its thing, because I do agree it can take a little hot second to get into, but after 40 minutes in, like, to be honest, I was in straight away. That whole intro sequence, I'm sorry, I just watched Wicked, but that intro sequence was like the best like musical number of any movie ever, of like the Applejack, like Orchard Farm. And I loved it. Like, I really did. And here we are. And I still am recommending it to so many people. I recommended it to a mate at work, and he watched it and he fucking loved it. And I know certain people that I don't think I could just like go out and recommend it to, but I know so many people. I'm just like, you should watch this. You should watch this. Here, let me show you how you get this. Let me show you where you watch it. Here, go watch it. Like, it's so good.
For me, it kind of clicked already the first time he fell into like one of the holes, and I was like, oh, okay, what is happening? Because it feels like an odd reset of putting the punchline maybe not where you expect it to be, because it's so filled with like jokes the whole time through that it feels like at one point by the end of it, you don't even have time to breathe anymore, because it's like it's so quick with it, because it has established all of these things, kind of primed you through the sound that plays when a certain thing happens. And sometimes you just hear kind of the sound and you already know what has happened on screen, even if you weren't even looking. And it does that in an impressively seamless way. Like, I was so surprised that the setups, that it never felt tiring to me. The amount of stuff that was happening on screen was not overwhelming. And that's just like a testament to really, really good filmmaking. I was so surprised that from the get-go, it was just so entertaining. And you just like, it's also like you're rooting for the guy, but then at one point, like, does he become the antagonist of the whole thing? Of like, what is happening? And then ultimately, it's like so silly. It's just about like doing whatever crazy shit to get the woman. And then, it's so much fun. And like you said, I feel like you could definitely see a lot of people who don't click with that type of humor. That it's just too weird to them, so they never connect with it. But in a setup way of like setting up slapstick humor, I don't know if it gets any better than this. It feels like this is pretty much peak to whatever like that type of genre, this type of movie has to offer. And I'm incredibly, incredibly impressed by it. Yeah. Anything else you wanted to bring up? I'll give it a 9 out of 10. This is a really good movie. It's in
4.5 out of 5.
top 15 of the year for me. Amongst really, really other thematically deep movie is a really silly one that is just incredibly entertaining. But speaking of entertainment, Lachlan, I believe of this one, you probably don't have it with you now that you are not at home, which is a big disappointment.
No, I don't. It's like the like. I know we're finally talking about it. I don't have the fucking steelbook with me. How ironic is that?
Madam Web, it has chased you. It was, I think Morbius was in the background for a long time. I don't know if Madam Web
longer.
And we still haven't talked about Morbius on the podcast, but Madam Web is getting that treatment. And yeah, I feel like everyone hated this. Everyone was ready to move past it. But yeah, Lachlan, what is it about?
Her web connects them all. Forced to confront revelations about her past, paramedic Cassandra Webb forges a relationship with 3 young women destined for powerful futures if they can all survive a deadly present.
Yeah, I think the most notable thing that came out of Madam Web was its promotional stuff, where there was like the one quote that kept going around. I was like, in the Amazon forest when yada yada yada, that whole yapping session. And then very recently, I think there was a clip of Joe Biden when he was like rainforest, and then like he walked off somewhere, and then they play that clip in the background as like voiceover narration for very funny. But on Letterboxd it is at a 1.5, on IMDb a 4. And this was just all around a big old flop. I think that Spider-Man Extended Universe, I think SPUM is what it's called, never really took flight or was able to connect its web in a way that stuck. And we do still have one that's coming out later this year with Kraven the Hunter. We almost did a double feature with Madam Web and this one, but we're just getting Madam Web out of the way because it deserves to be, its standalone thing among a free feature, I guess, week review this week. 160 minutes for this as well. Feels like it never ends. And you saw it.
Even though we just
4K.
talked about like a movie that is 8 minutes shorter, we were like, 108 minutes goes by so quickly, and we're like, this is the longest forever. 116 minutes forever.
But you caught it on 4K. Was that at least something that was good? Like, did the movie look good?
My Letterboxd review was, I wish I could return the 4K.
Yeah, no, it's been too long. You owned that like so long at this point.
Return period. Look, I knew I was expecting shit, so I kind of went in just ready to just accept it. But holy shit, man, I wasn't ready for this. Honestly, it wasn't as bad as it ended up being. I definitely have seen worse put together movies. There were actually elements of the action sequences that were kind of entertaining. The whole script, the dialogue is just atrocious. We can just forget every single fucking line of dialogue that's ever said by any of these characters. All I really have to say about this film, now that I've fucking finally seen it and I'm never pulling out that DVD ever again, it's going straight into the bin. I see what they wanted to do. I really do. I actually do see a potential to this movie. So hear me out. Ewan, I would like to spend the next minute and a half explaining to you how we can fix Madam Web. We have to, so you know how earlier I did the Cameron Diaz has to do the Robert Pattinson move, right?
Yeah.
So
you pitching me a Dakota Johnson.
I'm gonna see if you can figure out what I'm trying to do here.
Mm-hmm.
So there's another movie that came out a couple of years ago, very similar thing. With this movie here, the biggest problem you've got is there's a bunch of characters. Like there are 4 characters we have to follow. 5 if we include Adam Scott's character, and then we have a villain who that villain is like mid, whatever. But there's a decent amount of characters that we are now very quickly introduced to. We know who some of them are in a way because they're technically like a spider person. We know that character, but we don't know who these particular people are, right? People didn't know Miles Morales, but we had an origin story for him, so that works that way. This is the team-up movie. The team-up movie needs origin stories. You don't just go straight to Avengers. You have all of the little stories beforehand. So, here's how we save this movie. We make it 4 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
We shoot it in black and white. 4:3 aspect ratio.
Talking about occupancy.
Tons of slow-mo.
Oh, no. Okay. It's not a cut. Okay.
We Justice League the fuck out of this movie. We Justice League Zack Snyder cut the fuck out of this movie. That is how we save it. Because honestly, there is only one other superhero movie that I hated more than this one, and that is Justice League. And that makes me go, if there is an inkling that Justice League became Zack Snyder's Justice League, and that was definitely a better movie than this, and better than some of the worst that Marvel's put out, and even better than some of Marvel's most recent stuff, then Madam Web can definitely be Snyder cutted.
Yeah, I mean, it's just on a technical level. There is, I think, not from Taha Rahim, who plays Ezekiel Sims. I don't think there's a single line he says live. The villain. There's like a single line.
Oh right,
from that.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
So much of it is like ADR, like added.
Well, I
in
mean,
post.
half of this is reshoots, right?
Yeah, it's just I think all of the like it's basically an origin movie that shows us where these characters potentially maybe end up, but it never gives us the origin. It's so weird.
Doesn't even give us them.
No, it's an origin movie
here's
without
the
the
superheroes
origin.
they may eventually get, and it's like,
So
what?
odd.
What do you mean? It's the midway point. It's like it's the part where they discover they have powers, but they don't get their powers. But it's that for 116 minutes. It's like no one wants that. No one wants the part where no one would watch a hour and a half long movie of Peter Parker walking around the laboratory as he gets bit by the spider right at the end, and then it says "to be continued." Like no one would watch that. No one would watch a 2-episode.
But hear me out.
Movie.
Hear me out. What if he's at the laboratory, but there's a really big Pepsi sign at the background the whole time?
Oh God, yes, of course. My God, yes, yeah, of course. You've sold me there.
Yeah.
Look, all I will say is when I was watching it, I didn't think it was the worst movie of the year. Funnily enough, like I definitely think there are worse movies.
Yeah,
I don't
Borderlands
think it's a
was
good
worse.
movie.
Yeah.
Borderlands was way worse. I actually think Megalopolis was actually worse than this.
Yep.
I
think so as well. Because there's a movie here. It's just a really badly written, bad characters, but there are redeemable moments in it that just make it more resemble an actual movie. That if it weren't cut up and reshot so weirdly, that would be an okay-ish film in here.
I think Megalopolis was worse. Borderlands was worse. I think Drive Away Dolls was worse. I definitely think Rebel Moon, Scargiver Part 2, Scargiver was worse. I definitely think Red One was, but I think it probably sits there just below Red One. I definitely think it wasn't as good as Joker, and I think Joker was just a joke of a movie. But I think Joker has redeeming qualities to it, but I just don't think it's. I think it was probably one of the biggest letdowns of the year in terms of potential, which is why it's honestly right now my least favorite movie of the year. I put Drive Away Dolls and Borderlands and Megalopolis above Joker, even though they have lower ratings than Joker.
Right.
So for me,
Dakota Johnson play Joker in 50 Shades of Grey.
Can you stop trying to link these two worlds together? And do the spin-off universe. They're all
sorry, choker. Sorry, wrong connection.
And then remember, and the only thing I've realized whilst talking about the movie, especially after this podcast, is that this movie is like if you were to give this script to Martin Scorsese, I think he would have a heart attack. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 female leads. I think
too many women
wouldn't know what to do. I think he would say, "Look, we have to start at the starting board again. Spider what? Spider-Man." And then Martin Scorsese is sold. So yeah, there we go. Then
I mean, it would
Martin
be up his
Scorsese
alley because as you swing with spiderwebs, there's a rise and fall like every other second as you swing. So should be up his alley.
Yeah. So yeah, look, I don't think it's the worst movie of the year. I
also think most of the performances are like pretty innocently bad because they're just in
fine.
a horrible script.
They're fine. They're doing their best.
And I think especially, I don't know, it's also not like I'm saying these are the greatest actresses of our lifetime, but I think Isabella Merced, Sydney Sweeney, Dakota Johnson have been in way better roles that were not as horrible for them. So
yeah, man, for sure.
Yeah. Emma Roberts also randomly Mary Parker and Ben Parker in it. So it's just so, hey, here's the origin story of someone who's later going to take care of Spider-Man. It's just odd all around. The way that they like, and we haven't talked about like what her actual profession is, like the paramedic thing of like
paramedic. Who cares? It's not even integral.
And the whole story thing of like her seeing the future and then acting on it to I don't know.
Yeah.
I just want Final Destination, Lachlan. You know, because they
with less
see the
spiders.
future. Less. Well, no, I'd take a spider kill in Final Destination. Just not.
Do you know how keen I was for a Spider Woman movie?
Would be very fun. Yeah.
I was keen. I was keen for like one of these. Like, yes.
I forget if they, because it's been a while when I saw this and I wanted to shed it off my memory. I don't remember if they explained the different powers that the teenagers have.
Dakota Johnson can see back in time. Sydney Sweeney has like
Forward in time, right?
electricity, whatever. I don't know how time works. It's like relative or something. Sydney Sweeney's character can like do electric like stuff. Isabella Merced's character, I don't remember what her powers were. And then no, she was really smart, so she gets
right.
I don't
Smart
remember
spider.
what that one was. And then Celeste gets like all of the robot arms, like in
Cool.
Infinity War.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
It's a 1 out of 5
God,
for me.
this movie makes me really like tired. It's not because we've been
It is-
recording for 2 hours. It's like
No,
it's
we could have
tiring
started
about
with this
movie.
one and we
I
would have
also
been very
gave it-
tired.
I'm actually giving it 1.5 stars.
Yeah.
Why?
Okay.
Because I own the Steelbook and I want to feel better about owning it.
Yeah, but it's definitely the lowest rated steel.
I paid
but
at
you
least
still haven't seen
at
Morbius.
least $40 for that movie. So
God.
40 Australian dollars, which isn't real currency in the state of the things, but yeah,
Saving Sony single-handedly.
extremely inflated.
Anyways, if you were to pair it up as a double feature for any of these films, or maybe just like as a kind of catch up for 2024, do you have a pick of what people should watch?
Fantastic question, Ewan, because I, just like every other time we do this, am not prepared for you asking me about my double feature fic. Double feature fic. Can you tell I'm getting tired and I'm having a
Peaches down in
stroke?
Georgia.
By the way, I've been up for, what's this, like 12, 15, 16 hours because I now live a bit further away from work and we started earlier today. So yeah, I am drained, brother.
Well,
I am drained.
The final stretch. The rest of me is me
definitely
yapping.
not watching any movies tonight. As soon as we're done with this, I am uploading my stuff and then I'm going to bed and I'm going to cry because I watched Madam Web this week. And think about it. Double feature pick. There we go. Those are the words I'm looking for. I think that there's a bit of everything here. If I take the deep, meaningful, the deep and meaning thematic ideas of Orion in the Dark, I take the comedy of Hundreds of Beavers, and I take the shitness of Madam Web. I think there's one movie in 2024 that I think everyone should go see. I think it's a combination of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's Sasquatch Sunset.
Yeah.
And I think that's a perfect combination of all three of those movies because it's like Orion in the Dark. There's a lot of thoughts about death, about fear, change. Like Hundreds of Beavers, there's just people in animal costumes. And like Madam Web, it's not the best movie of the year, but it's not terrible. And there's some big name actors in it. So that is why Sasquatch Sunset is my double feature pick.
Well, I actually have a bit of a... Because Kevin hated Sasquatch Sunset. I think it's like one of his...
Yeah, which is really funny.
And he actually left a recommendation for us. He snuck into our show notes and said that it would be
I saw that.
great to pair up Swiss Army Man with Hundreds of Beavers, which I think is a great choice. I'm just going to give you a recommendation of something that is also a bit underwatched. That not tonight, Lachlan, because you definitely seem like you need a bit of sleep.
Look at me. Look at me.
It's also like it's almost like the behind you. It's a bit more like purple, so it seems like the sadness has kind of come over you. But Rachel Sennett in I Used to Be Funny is out, I think, on Netflix in the States. But you can also, I think, rent it at this point. I really, really liked it. It's about a stand-up comic comedian who has to work through her PTSD that she got from an au pair job that she was doing, and it slowly kind of unravels what happened there, because you see her first just with that trauma and unable to perform and do her job and kind of move past it. And I think it's a really great performance from Sennett, and also just a great movie all around. that I think not a ton of people have seen so far. Those are our reviews. Those are our double feature picks. Let's have a look ahead at the week in new releases, and the big release of the week is the sequel to Moana, a series turned movie that I really hope is good, because I did quite like the first Moana film. Then out in limited release in the States, we got Maria, Queer, and The Seed of the Sacred Fig out on VOD already, but they just kind of added it sneakily in between our recordings last week, just like without any warning. We Live in Time is already out, and then on November 25th, we are getting Dear Santa on Paramount Plus. That's Jack Black as Santa Claus. On November 26th, Conclave is out. Then Elevation starring Anthony Mackie and an action sci-fi thriller is out. Then Memoir of a Snail, after I feel like not really getting a long theatrical run, is already out on VOD as well. I think that movie is another one that is not talked about, unfortunately. I don't know why. Maybe Mary and Max was another thing that you just kind of don't seek out, but at one point it kind of finds you and then you're kind of sucked in. Maybe that's the type of film that Adam Elliott does. Then Watchmen Chapter 2 is out on Premium VOD. I think Chapter 1 wasn't great, but hey, I'll let you know if it's any good. And then out on November 27th, we are getting Our Little Secret. That's Lindsay Lohan in a Netflix rom-com. Out November 28th, we got Afraid and Sweethearts. That's over on Max with Karen Shipka in a sort of teenage sweethearts romance movie about like two friends who have different dates, but then they have like, I think, a pact of, I don't know, some of their friendship gets tested and maybe they'll even fall in love. It sounds like that type of film. Out on November 29th, we are getting Nutcrackers, David Gordon Green Hulu film over there, and then Beatles 64 over on Disney Plus, and then a limited series about the iconic racer Senna is out on Netflix. Then on December 1st, we are getting the French movie, very French movie, Last Summer, that is about a older woman hooking up with a 17-year-old. Couldn't be more French. In Australia, you are getting Heretic, and in Switzerland, we are finally getting Conclave, as it so often happens to coincide with when in the States it comes out on VOD, we are getting it in theaters, and it kind of puts you in this weird spot of like, okay, well, I would love to see it in theaters. I've already seen it, but like, to go see it in theaters, but then it's like, well, I could somehow get it another way on digital. Maybe we can work around that a bit more. Swiss distributors, that's to you. But next week, we are going to dive deep into the yellow bricked road world of Wicked. Yes? Is there yellow brick road in the film, Evans?
There is.
Cool.
Twice.
And, oh my god, 2 yellow brick roads, okay? And I thought we'd have to save that for Wicked Part 2. But Moana 2 is also out, so we'll do a musical week next week, and hopefully Lachlan will break out into song and dance with the dog.
And hopefully I won't be as dead.
It was a big week this week, so hopefully, you tune in next week again. We need a bit of a break, but we'll see you next week, so bye.
Bye.